Welcome to Coffee and Cannabis. I'm your host, Alyza, and this is
Corey, what up?
And today we have Coss Marte from ConBody and ConBud. Please give it up.
Thank you for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. So before we kick it off, we're going to have an incredible interview with him. Listen, he's in the New York market, and he's killing it right now. So we're going to get into all depths of his story. But first, you already know, coffee. We got a local coffee shop today called Cocoa Bakery. That's here in the Heights, right on off of Congress. So make sure you go and check them out, support. And for my blunt, it's really a hump wrap. You know, I just be trying to sound.
No, she had right. I'm smoking a blunt. Powdered donuts, 36% THC, 41 total cannabinoid.
You just had to say that, right?
Listen. If I'm fucked up by the end of this shit, it's not my fault.
There's your preface. You said you have what?
Powdered donuts.
What do I have? Because I'm not smoking 36%. Because I want to be able to
function.
Yeah, you want to ask
have
questions?
a fucking interview.
I think you are smoking, if I recall, Jalen. What's that kind one right there say? What strain is that?
Oh my God! What kind of prep do you do?
Ice cream mints. Oh, that's funny because that's the one I smoked the last podcast. I was fucked up. Have fun.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Guys, what you got?
I got some Uptown Haze right here. Some
Ooh.
real Boudet from Uptown. And then I got some Super Skunk mixed in here.
Okay.
From my friend Emily from the LES.
Now, Jeremy told us you got the real haze.
Mm-hmm. The real.
Not
Uptown,
the bullshit.
Well, I'm not. I don't have the cut, but my boy does.
Yeah.
Okay. But you got the plug for it.
But
I got the plug, and it's coming into the stores. I'm bringing it into the stores.
All right, we're gonna get into all that.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate you popping over to the other side of the Hudson. Come show us some love.
Yeah.
So I just want to, start to set the foundation of take me back. I mean, you have tremendous businesses that are doing very, very well. But before we get there, we got to know about who you actually are. So I want you to take me back. Also know that you spent some time away. Mm-hmm. Take me before that. I want just a small journey through your childhood and how you landed, really behind bars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm born and raised in the Lower East Side. Okay. My mom came from the DR when she was 6 months pregnant with me, so I'm like an anchor baby.
Okay. Shout out to the Dominican Republic.
My name Coss came from, so going way back, so my dad was a beekeeper in DR, and he sold enough honey
That's a dope job.
To bring my mom and I over here. The reason why he named me Coss was because the person that certified him how to be a beekeeper, his last name was Coss.
Okay.
So that's how.
The homage kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's dope.
And so we ended up in the LES and Lower East Side, LES. So back then it was a crazy drug infested, lot of dirty lots, burned down buildings. It was crazy. I mean, dope heroin lines everywhere. And we ended up in a building where a lot of my cousins lived. First cousins, second cousins, everybody basically lived in the same building. The
Right.
fifth, fourth, and the sixth floor was like family.
All right.
So I'm jumping from apartment to apartment.
It's kind of dope.
I had like 30 cousins in the building, and some of them were already selling drugs, and I got attracted to the lifestyle. I saw them making money very early.
So imagine getting in a fight with somebody. You're like, nah, I'm gonna fuck this nigga up. I'm gonna meet him on his block, and his whole family live in the building.
I swear that was what exactly.
That's the first thing I thought. It's like it would have sucked to get in a fight with him.
It's not even the only my family, but the whole block.
Yeah.
Because the whole block basically grew up in the same part of DR.
And they all just started to come
like
over.
on the Dominican block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dominoes were in front of my building. Like loud ass fucking merengue. Can't sleep.
But ironically, I was going to say that it's probably was really incredible to have your family around you all the time, right? But on the flip side, it's also the ones that were involved in illegal activity. Then you also, as a young, impressionable young man, right?
Yeah.
You could get sucked into that. So I guess I could see how both sides is really.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody was attracted to that lifestyle. Not a lot of people, especially the male cousins in the family, like, they follow the streets, most of them, Yeah. Maybe one of them went to college. My little brother went to college.
Okay.
And that was it.
So you fall into the wrong crowd, which is your other cousins, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are doing what you're doing. How do you land behind bars?
So I started selling and smoking weed and messing around when I was 11 years old. So I started smoking at 11. And I became the kid in school that people used to call like Smokey the Bear. That was my nickname. Like I was just smoking all the time, high all the time, and that was it. But other kids wanted to smoke with me, so they would be, somebody would give me $1 here. It'd be like 6 of us in a fucking nickel.
That's back when a nickel bag could fill a blunt.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Bring
almost
that
grab
back.
nickels. And so we would, my cousin was selling nickels on a quarter, and I would be the one going. I'll buy a quarter Philly, and I'll be the one rolling. And I just kept, I was that middle person, and then eventually I was like, yo, I need an ounce. And from an ounce it just multiplied. So, and to be honest, I sold every type of drug I could sell.
Right.
A lot of people in New York and in the industry, they say like, oh, he was a crack dealer, coke dealer, and he sold other shit. But when somebody came up to you on a block and asked you for something, and
It's
you don't
another
got
product.
it,
It's another product I gotta get.
we're just looking forward towards the profit margins, and that's what we look forward to. It was not like, nah, I don't got it. We don't got it here. We don't do that here. It was like, yo, I'm gonna go down the block. I'm gonna get it for you. Give me the money. Boom. I'm gonna make money. Time was money, and that was my mentality. So.
How do you feel like you look at it now? I'm asking you this because I recently spoke to someone about they're involved in, I'm trying to find like a nice way to say it, selling sexual activity, and they are in control of that sexual activity that's being done, right?
Yeah.
Sort of like a pimp, but I'm sure there's new terms for it.
Yeah.
Still a pimp.
Okay. And basically he was saying like, I know that this is bad and I know that it is impacting this person's life, but this is a decision that they made. So how do you feel about that? Like being now looking at it on the other side and you're like, yes, this is definitely a product. And just like if I had a business and there was a new thing that I can sell, it's another revenue stream. Why not put it on my shelves?
I think.
But the impact.
I think
the end
the
result.
impact, yeah, definitely that person is making their own decision to sell their own body. I think you have pimps, which is different because pimps manipulate their women to do stuff for money. So that's a pimp,
Yeah.
and then you have people that manage it, so
Yeah.
like I'm gonna keep it super transparent. Like there was people that came and they wanted girls, like here's the plug, here's the girls will give me a tip, and I was getting a cut for putting them on
Yeah.
because they were hustling in the street and they needed to feed their family, babies. That's how it was,
Right.
Do I endorse that business? No, I don't want
Of course.
to push that out.
Right.
But I don't think anybody should be incarcerated for it, especially if you was out there trying to hustle and make money for ends meet and you're trying to make a business out of it. So, but being a pimp is different because a pimp, motherfuckers was slapping girls.
Right.
Well, the other thing of that is, would someone ask that question that you just asked? If I was an executive at Philip Morris, I'm running a cigarette company. Ain't no good coming from cigarettes.
Right.
You know it's bad for you. You got to put 1,000 logos on it.
Right.
Do I feel bad when I go to sleep? No. I'm an executive at Philip Morris, right?
Right.
Or at name a big, Moderna and all these, companies and shit like that. Like, should I feel bad if I'm, you know what I mean? So some part of it is supply and demand. Somebody need it.
It's true, but some people do feel like they shouldn't be able to sleep well at night because there's other things that happen with some of those drugs, right? And you can't control all of the things that happen in between, who it gets sold to, what pharmacy, sells it, if someone overdoses on it. There's a lot there that you can't control, and it's the same thing, I think, on the illicit side. But I just think I'm saying from like a conscious perspective. There's a lot of people out there that are trying to feed their families.
Yeah.
And it's tough to be on the side where you have to think about, I am impacting somebody else's life by contributing to this exchange, but at the same time, I have a whole family that I need to take care of too. And the way that this world is set up, it's not always that easy to make that happen. Mm-hmm. And we get a lot of people that watch the podcast that's like, oh, it's just black people complaining about things that black people can't do. And it's like, no, there are real systemic issues that make it harder for us. Mm-hmm. And sometimes everyone doesn't have the access and the resources for that.
A lot of systemic issues. I mean, the country was built on systemic issues, you know, so.
Well, speaking to that, systemic issues, you're opening up a dispensary.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty good. That was
Crazy
nice.
transition.
Cheers to that.
Thank you,
That's like
appreciate
36 proof. That's
It's a high level. I'm on a higher plane. So you're opening a dispensary. What part of the city again?
in the Lower East Side and the
Lower East
Bronx.
Side. So in the Lower East
So
Side.
I'm opening up 2.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
you have 2. I didn't realize you had 2. I
Yeah.
thought you had 1.
That's
Yeah.
what's up.
So how has that path been going through that in the city, well, in New York in general?
It's just been a lot of work.
Long process.
Wild ride.
Long process. You know, so over 2 years ago now, they passed the MRTA. So following that, you know, stating that they were going to allow social equity to go first. So, you know, looking at that, and then the regs drop about card, and that's your first step in. So,
Yeah.
you know, just, it's been a 2.5-year process, you know, just waiting and showing up to meetings and it's a lot
What
of
about
work.
politically and community-wise? How's that been for you?
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, on a political side, like it stops me because my brother's the city council member for all downtown Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
And so there were people attacking me because I'm opening up a dispensary. I once sold drugs in the neighborhood. They said I'm causing to bringing crime rates up in the neighborhood. Rhetoric to go after my brother on a negative way on a political, you know, side. So it's.
They don't think because you're trying to transform your life and you did something
No,
that you are now.
That's
a beautiful story.
If I show you this Instagram post that I just posted, this guy took time to cut probably 30 different interviews and put it into one image and basically said, I'm a drug dealer in the neighborhood and my brother's pushing to defund the police.
What?
Yeah.
With clips?
With clips of my interview and took different words.
I know I'm going really
You know,
left
to
here,
go-
Well,
but
he's creative.
when I think about stuff like that,
Yeah,
I'm always like,
but like-
that person. How do you have that much time to do that?
Yeah,
like
I mean-
that would cost me so much money and time and energy to do that.
I mean, that's why you probably have impact. What is it? The IQ.
Chat GPT.
Yeah.
You know, GPT could fucking build that shit, right? You know.
I guess you got a point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It can
He's
say
pointing to
scrape the
Jalen.
whole internet of stuff that I say and piece it together. Wow, but still, that's a lot of fucking energy.
Just for he's pointing to Jalen.
Oh, yeah.
Who is a lover of Chat GPT.
Yes, you guys know. The AI fools on the internet know Jalen is the truth.
Yeah,
Our
but
baby
that's
producer.
how you get shit done, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I haven't messed around with it. I need to learn it.
If the motherfucker took a video and scraped the whole internet to make you say something, clearly it's great.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that somebody would do that. I mean, you're going to take that much, like, real time?
Yeah.
Wow. What kind of hate is that?
Well, the other side of your community involvement, yet again, the other side, you saw that? I'm good.
That was good.
Higher. Is you have ConBody.
Yes.
ConBody, on your shirt. So you're already doing something in the community. You have and just because understanding how card works, you have to already have a business,
Right.
to have proof of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So you have to have a net profitable business for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then also have the conviction on your record.
So how
for
did
cannabis.
ConBody come?
So
Where did that come from?
ConBody was derived from my personal experience while I was incarcerated. So I was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Doctors told me that if I didn't start eating correctly or exercising, that I was probably going to die of a heart attack within 5 years.
So
Because
you
I
were a
had
bigger
lot.
gentleman at the time?
I was a bigger guy,
Wow.
70 pounds higher than what I am right now, and
Wow.
I lost over 70 pounds in 6 months.
Congratulations.
Yes.
And I just kept
yes.
pushing.
Clap it up for that. Wow.
So you've been doing ConBody, and that's what.
So I started that inside the prison system. I helped over 20 inmates who's over 1,000 pounds combined.
That's dope.
So
wow.
Congrats.
Yo, you said that was so good.
Yeah, so nonchalant.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Like, that's super dope.
And so I took that same concept. I started hiring people coming out of the prison system today to teach these fitness classes that I taught while I was inside.
That's dope.
So
that's really
so
dope.
you had that, and we're doing that, and that was a part of the story. And these people are still hating on you like that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's impacting your community just doing that, right? Having that facility that people can come, have a space where they could work out.
I've hired over 60 people and have a 0 recidivism rate, so no one has gone back through my space back inside. So
Wow.
That's dope.
That's incredible.
It's crazy.
Put some respect on his name.
I don't care about that. I'm just doing the work, man.
Yes.
Just doing the good, doing what's right. That's it.
Yeah. And it'll always shine through. Like, it might be some challenges, but you're going to, because you're trying to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. It's so crazy that people will just continue to do anything to bring up your past and not allow you to transform. So tell me about that. Tell me about your transformation. What was really the marker that was like, enough is enough?
It's a crazy story. I mean, I was incarcerated, and I was called down to the medical unit by an officer. I went down there. I thought it was going to be a dental appointment. So I'm going out there. I've been on the waiting list to see a dentist for like 2 years.
Wow.
And so I get down to the medical unit, and they say it's a drug test. And so when I go over there, I'm like, all right, let's do this. And he said, I have to search you. So he puts me on the wall, and he starts searching me very aggressively. Mm-hmm. And so as I moved my body, he punched me behind my head and knocked me down.
This at Rikers?
Upstate New York.
Oh, upstate New York. Okay.
What is that, Warsaw?
Huh?
What is that, Warsaw?
Lakeview.
Lakeview.
This was in Lakeview box. So then I got sent to solitary confinement. And then when I was in the box, because they said I was attempting to assault an officer, I get to the box, and I was devastated because I had 2 months left to go home.
Oh, that's fine.
And now I'm facing 3 more years. I eventually got an extra year for that. So I was in the box, and in solitary confinement, I had no one to speak to. I was alone for 24 hours a day. So I remember wanting to contact my family, letting them know that I was in a situation, because I was trying to fight that case. So I had a new case now that I was fighting in the system. And so I was telling them I needed a lawyer, and I was explaining the whole situation. And so I ended up enclosing a letter in an envelope, but I had no stamp to send out a letter. And I had to wait 30 days to get a stamp to send out the letter.
Jesus Christ.
So I basically was tight and was impatient, and I just laying down in my cell bed. And I got a knock from the officer's door about a week in. And he's like, yo, I got a letter for you. And it was my sister. And my sister basically is like Mother Teresa's child, super religious. And she tells me to read Psalm 91 from the Bible. And I'm like, fuck that shit. I don't believe in God. I need a fucking lawyer. And so I took that letter, threw it in the corner of my cell. But the only thing I had in my cell was a Bible. And so I decided out of boredom to pick up the Bible, and I turned to Psalm 91, which states, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my shelter and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. And I read those words, and a stamp fell in between my Bible. And it was a stamp that I needed to send out the letter that I was trying to get my family in contact with. And so I eventually got in contact with my family. I ended up copping out to doing an extra year in prison.
Instead of the 3?
Instead of the 3.
Okay.
And then I just you know, I came home with the mission that I'm gonna really give back to society, and I had a skill of working out while I was incarcerated, and I was like, I could give this back to the community. So that was the first thing I did. It's crazy. I've been documenting this with a Academy Award director for the last 9 years, and we're doing a 6-part docuseries.
That's gonna be
that's super dope.
Such a dope story, man.
She's been following me, and it's like a
it's not dope
because
it's your fucking life.
10 years.
Well, the cool thing also is that, and similar to Alyza, with both of you having kind of like health and wellness, is like you can do health and wellness and smoke weed. Like, you know, sometimes the weed is part of the health and wellness, right? So, like, I think that's cool that, like, you lost all the weight, you're helping others lose weight, you're maintaining a healthy lifestyle, but you're also still partaking in weed, going to own a weed business, so on and so forth. You know, and I think maybe that's the part some people don't realize. Like, trust me, I run an MSO. I see plenty of workout heads, chicks in their yoga pants walking into the dispensary. Right from their workout, right in. So it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's a huge market. I mean, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be wonderful, and you deserve all of it.
You too.
You deserve all of it.
You too. We're here. We're doing it.
It's crazy.
We're gonna do it.
Tell me about. You got me a little emotional. That was a lot. But I don't know. There's just something that I always resonate with you guys. I mean, I by no means had the experience of going to prison because, it's not the same thing. I was getting paid, right? When I was in the military, I was getting paid. So, but it sucks. Mm-hmm. It sucks. You're in a place that's really isolating.
It's a system.
And they're institutions. Yeah. That's the point, right?
Both institutions.
They're institutions that are made to control us, and mine is incentivized, but I have to follow direction the same way that y'all go to chow, right? Reveille early in the morning, 6 a.m., line up, like shower in a certain band of time. And when I was in my first tour and I lived in a Connex box, and for anybody who knows what a Connex box is, a shipping container.
8x2.
A regular size shipping container, they cut into 4. So it's damn near the size of a cell.
8x2?
So there's 20x2s and 8x2s, so that probably was a 20x2.
Yeah.
I used to grow weed in Connex boxes.
But it wasn't a huge space, and I was by myself all the time. And I also had a unique experience because I was in law enforcement, so it was a lot of men, it was a lot of white men, and it was a lot of people from other places that weren't the metro area, so I always felt sort of like other. So I was also isolated for that, and it just sucks. And it's like this moment that you're like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. Like, this is crazy. So I mean, I know they call it like a come to Jesus moment. Yours was sort of really that. But
no, it was crazy.
It's crazy how it happens. Mm-hmm. It's crazy how it happens.
Look at you. Oh, here we go.
I'm not going to get stars and moon. I'm going to leave it alone today.
Yeah,
when's your birthday?
Here we go. Here we go.
I just want to know.
I'm a Saggy.
Okay. All right.
12/15.
Oh, my wife is 12/19.
Yeah.
Y'all got rough with that Christmas right there.
My daughter's 12/13.
All right. So branding. I want to talk about branding. That's like my thing.
Y'all see her socks?
Yes.
And her chain.
Yes, that's like my thing. I know how to make really great brands and really put a lot of authenticity into them. Yours is incredible. Jeremy was telling me about ConBud, and I love weed, so I'm just like, oh, cool, just more weed. But then I saw ConBody, and I'm like, this is incredible. It was, the parody that you guys have on there with the person coming in, and they were acting like that. Listen, tell us about how you came up with. I obviously know where the draw came from, but how did you even know to do that? That's such a business-oriented like trait to know how to put something together so well like that. Where'd that come from?
I don't know. I guess just like, just if you don't ask, you don't eat, like just go out and get it, you know? And if you got to survive, you can't stop.
Yeah.
is the hustle.
Yeah. Tell them about the concept.
So basically, people come in and pay for fitness classes. You know, we charge $32 a class. It's a prison-style boot camp. It's 45 minutes nonstop. It's not HIIT. You know, a lot of fitness studios have HIIT. What we do in the system, we superset. So we go nonstop 45 minutes.
Wow.
You know,
that must be an intense workout.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't do it. It's just basically moving for 40. You could move for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
if you really try.
Yeah. We set the bar high, but if you could keep up, you keep up. If you can't, you're gonna just keep pushing yourself.
Yeah.
You know, but you're gonna finish 45. We're gonna lock you in. So we build the fitness studio to look like a prison. So you go in through a prison gate to enter the classroom.
That's
so that
so
gate
dope.
is not opening, you know, for 45 minutes. You know?
That's such a dope concept.
It's crazy.
It's like you gonna get it in because you in here.
Yeah, you in here.
And it's taught by real inmates, former.
Yeah.
That's a great concept. I love it. And you're employing others.
Scared skinny, like it's it's like scared skinny.
Basically,
work out.
We go to Rikers. I was in Rikers today, actually. You know, we go into Rikers to train the inmates in there.
Oh, wow.
And so we want to give them an opportunity when they come out, you know. And so we hire people coming out, like literally coming out of the system first day.
That's dope.
You know?
Yo, doing the work.
Is that like, I'm sorry,
like cheers. No, cheers. I'm just
that's
doing the work. You know what I'm saying? Like all that, like what you were saying earlier about the perception people have. And it's like you're really out here doing the work, giving back to those that, you know, you feel like are your community.
Yeah.
Why are people so mean?
Well, I don't. I'm not stressing it.
No, I know. I just want the world to be nicer. Like, why are you hating on this guy? Like, he changed his life around. Fuck. Stop being a dick.
And he's a businessman.
Clearly.
Entrepreneur.
A smart one, too. That
a
concept
marketing
is
genius.
Great. Yes. And then now you have the whole foundation, which I told you that was sort of my angle, too, right? Sweat gave me my foundation. And now you just flipped it over to... For me, it was the other side, but for you is ConBody.
I'm selling bud again.
That's genius.
You know,
I love it.
Still your dealer is my tagline.
Still your dealer. No, that's a good one.
Yeah. Now I see why they hate you.
Trademark.
He's stirring the trouble up.
That's dope. That's hard.
Yo, that's great.
I want to change the concept of what we see at dispensary. You know, we're following Cali. We're following bud tender language. You know, they created all this new language, but that's not our language on the east side. That's you know, true. Like so I feel like we have a blank canvas over here to recreate what we want this to look, you know. So I'm working on building something, a dispensary that's different and still same functionality but different. You know, it's gonna be crazy.
An experience.
We'll bring the original culture of cannabis,
bring the culture of New York cannabis basically.
To the dispensary,
exactly,
even though it's legal.
and share our history.
Yes,
you know? And so it's gonna be dope.
And that's what I'm saying. That's that creative genius right there. Everybody doesn't have that.
It's crazy.
You know, and I love having that conversation because although we have a lot of social equity talk on this podcast, business is business, and I am a firm believer in that. May the best man win. Right. So although I do want minorities to progress in this, and I think that this is a great opportunity for us to have real generational wealth. That's such a buzzword, right? But like you've seen the numbers in cannabis, like if you have a successful dispensary, like what that really looks like, that could change the trajectory of so many people's lives. But everybody ain't gonna win. And for me, my personal opinion is that for those that don't really invest in the branding component, or at least whether they have it themselves or they need to outsource that, whatever that looks like for them, it's fucking important.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a lot of people's retention in their customer base. People that are like, that's my dispensary. That's the spot I go to.
Yeah, and the fucked up shit about, we were talking about this before, is that we can't brand our own product in New York.
Now that's crazy.
That's the crazy. So you can't, just to be clear and specific,
that I don't.
You can't make a cannabis brand because you have a cannabis dispensary.
Exactly. It becomes a true party of interest. So the people that own that processing manufacturing license, is the ones that are the only ones that could process and stamp a label on it. And so if we do business as a licensing agreement, we become a true party of interest. So we crossing tiers that which we can't cross. So
you can't do
only
a third
in New
party?
York. The only thing in New York I could do is retail, consumption, and delivery, and that's it.
But you can't create your own. Now,
no one can become fully vertical, right?
Only MSOs.
Yeah, so that's the fucked up part, because
Yeah.
everything he named MSOs do. Obviously, MSOs have full vertical licenses. They also have their own brands, multiple brands actually.
Yeah.
So
Get into that part, because like even if you have your dispensary, you still want to be able to make your own. If you have a dope dispensary, maybe you want to make a dispensary brand.
yeah, even if I can't afford to get a second or third dispensary, I can afford to create a brand and have my product in other dispensaries. So like, it's hard for it to even discuss, because it's
I don't
almost like
understand.
it literally makes zero sense.
I'm so confused.
That's like telling McDonald's they can have the restaurant, but it can't be McDonald's product in it. That's like
can't
telling
sell
Wawa you can only sell Cokes and other shit, but you can't have your in-store.
Yeah.
Like literally, it makes no sense.
No Wawa drinks.
Yeah.
No.
It's like
None of your own drinks.
It's like I got to go to McDonald's for a chopped cheese, and I got to go to a bodega for McDonald's food. It literally makes no sense. There's no other industry where that works. And the MSOs
that's
in your
a
own.
great analogy.
Is that common knowledge? Is this common knowledge?
I didn't even
I
realize
feel like
that.
I did not know this.
We're in a comment period right now in New York State.
Oh,
And
please change that.
We're pushing to change that.
Call
But
me.
this
I'm
is
showing
the,
up.
This is the second round.
Corey and I
and
can
they
tell them
haven't
that's
changed
dumb
it.
as hell.
That's just wild, because like, you got.
And I even suggested to them and I told them, like, I commented and I said, let's at least get like 20% of the shelf, so they basically feel like we're not going to be allowing other brands who are mom and pop brands coming into our shelves.
Yeah, but that part is business.
Yeah,
Yes.
but we could control the amount. We could have 20% or whatever to our shelf life, and then we have other people's.
Yeah.
The whole way New York is doing, to some degree, the brands, which really becomes third-party contracting and wholesaling, is completely wild. Like, they started giving out licenses, which is great, to independent individuals that are recreational, but you have 10 MSO licenses that are being held hostage not to sell rec, which I know everybody hates the MSOs, blah blah blah, but that's also what stops the black market from growing, right? So it kind of tames the market for others to come in. And as much as everybody wants to say, oh, it takes up this much of the market, New York is a big-ass state, and the MSOs are only allowed 4 stores each, and all of them don't have all 4 open. But, and they're already locked into their locations. So if they're a lot of them are in locations where you would only have a medicinal dispensary, not a recreational. So, like, I used to work for MedMen. 2 of MedMen's are in literal doctors' offices. Like, in those high-rise that are, like, all doctors' offices. Yeah. That's where the dispensaries are. And trust me, MedMen and every MSO has tried to move their dispensary. So he's like, nah, you stuck there. Because they got to leave all the rest of the space open for individuals like yourself to come in with legitimate locations for a recreational experience.
I mean, New York is going to be a real estate play.
Yeah, it's definitely a real estate play.
And so if they stood there and they stuck there, they're fucked.
Yeah, trust me. They are.
And so it's all about location and the amount of people and
walking,
population density, and knowing how many people are going to turn that corner and see your store and your brand. And so I place myself where there's 300,000 people that go across the street a year in this museum, this small museum, and I'm doing a partnership with them. I'm going to launch they described the Lower East Side as a very old neighborhood where like every immigrant came first from the beginning of fucking New York and the East. So the Lower East Side has history about Jewish, Irish, Italians, all this stuff, but they don't have our history of like black and brown people in the neighborhood, and of the 80s and 90s. And we have that history.
Yeah.
So we have an old photographer, Clayton Patterson, legend in the neighborhood. He documented all our pictures when we were kids hustling on the street in front of his door. So every week he would put our pictures on his window. And we were like, oh, that's that guy from this hood, you know what I mean? And that's how everybody knew each other. And so we were recreating that as part of history. You know?
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah,
It's going to be crazy.
You're doing a lot of fly shit.
Yeah.
I might have to step my game up, do some more stuff.
Nah, I mean, we have a blank canvas, so let's be, get crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's really why we started this podcast.
Yeah.
We saw there wasn't, it wasn't really
Nobody's
occupied a
doing
lot.
this.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing this.
And this, I mean, to be able to normalize the conversation and get people's stories out there. And so many people have stopped me and said, I've learned so much about cannabis just from watching the podcast. So, I mean, we got to be innovative.
Nice.
Yeah, like it just to real quick to jump back on that is the brand part is, to those that don't understand, the brand part is really big because one, every other cannabis company does it, every MSO does it, and it's allowed in every other state, it's allowed in every other industry. So just on common sense, it doesn't make sense. The other part is you have hundreds now in New York of grow and manufacturing licenses. The inability to have some automatic market for third-party contracts, especially with independent people, goes against the very premise of what they're trying to do. So let's say you and 200 of your buddies, all in the same kind of situation, all have a dispensary. Now y'all got a dispensary, made a little bit of money. Now you want to create your own brand so you can spread across the state, let alone you and your 100 buddies carry each other's stuff, work with each other.
Right.
Well, who has to make that product and grow that product? These hundreds of manufacturing cultivation licenses that need to get as many of those, product lines as possible in order to sustain profit for them to even make sense to keep working.
Yep.
Now, if you can't do that, that leaves the heavy hitters, the Curvon, all the other big brands on the West Coast and around the country, and the MSO brands, to then use them to make product to put in your store, which goes against the very nature of how they're doing the social equity. Like even within their own scope of rules, it does not make sense.
Yeah,
I'm trying, but I'm also trying to get like just legit New York, bread. No, New York brands. I want to push like as much New York branding as possible.
Well, that's what it would be. It's you as a New Yorker owning a dispensary, starting your own brand, doing a third-party contract with a New York grow and manufacturing license to then grow that sell that product in New York. Mm-hmm. The insular aspect of what they've been trying to do really is the branding. Brand is the easiest way to get into the industry.
Yes.
It requires the least amount of money up front. You can always, whatever contract you take is if you take in, old school, early 2000 music industry contracts, that's on you. Give up them points. That. But it's a way to get in.
You're right.
It's a way to make proof of concept. If you're already a dispensary owner, it's a way to get additional income besides just your store.
Yes.
And to grow the brand. Like, it's just, that is nut as hell to me.
That's crazy.
That's
crazy.
That's a crazy way to handcuff. Someone.
I think what I think they're not realizing too is that for someone who starts in New York, right, like they don't start in another state and they have a vision to become a bigger brand, it's going to be so difficult for them to do that because the best way to strategically do that is to have your own product to put in the other dispensary so that you have visibility other places. So without having that ability, it's like people have to just know you from going to your store. That's hard. Mm-hmm. Why? I don't understand why they don't want people to grow. Let's get off this topic.
It's crazy.
You don't know Jack. You don't know Jack, and I feel like
It's a lot. It's a huge issue in New York, and that's what I don't know. It's just a lot.
Well, luckily, it's still up for comment.
Yeah. And listen, New York people, like if you guys watch this, because I know a lot of people watch this podcast that don't be trying to tell us they watch it. If you're watching this is. Corey and I are honestly shocked, right? And this is just honest conversation, how this makes sense. If you want to make this industry better, if that is really the intention, listen to some of these conversations. Yeah. This is important because the reality is that we only know what we know. And as people that need to make decisions about certain things, the best way to do so is to really listen.
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm just saying, Kathy, Tremaine, Chris, Deshita, let the man have a brand.
Please. If
you know the names, you know them.
Yeah. OCM.
I'm like Corey always go. He always goes so far.
I be trying to.
I mean, we got to send it to them. You know, we got to send them.
It's all out of love. It's all out of love. It's all out of making sure that this industry is what people say they really want it to be. Let's do it the best way we can, and keep the conversation. It keeps it
insular. It keeps New York, New York.
Yep.
So,
all right, let's bounce into You Don't Know Jack. Corey.
He already got me with one that they can't have fucking brands. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know we was both shocked on that one.
I'd have missed that question.
Yeah, that's wild. That has me so thrilled. What is, okay, this one is pretty good, Jay. What is one misconception or stereotype about the cannabis industry that you have personally encountered and you would like to debunk? I guess
one part is that it's not, even when you work in the legal market, that somehow it's not legal money. And any person that works in legal cannabis can tell you this, of what banks you can't get an account with, because as soon as you put down the company you work for and they back it, they see cannabis come up, oh, I'm sorry, we can't do business with you. Yep. Getting a loan is fun. Here's another one. Damn near impossible. You cannot get life insurance working in the cannabis industry. You better have that shit before you get legal money. So luckily, I had set up my personal life insurance prior to working in the legal market, but it is hard as hell to get life insurance or to get like a halfway decent policy if your means of income is cannabis, which is crazy. In mad states, it's even on the bubble federally, insurance companies won't give you like legit life insurance working in it. So that's the main thing, is that I got to do a fucking W-2. So that shit is legal money.
Right.
If I can be taxed by the state, and shit, sometimes 2 states in my case, and the federal government, that's just legal money.
Yep.
So there's the easiest one right there.
All right.
That's crazy.
I want you to give a good pet peeve.
We're all liabilities.
Yeah.
It's terrible how they treat us.
You can legally work in the industry, but don't set up no insurance policy.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. I typically don't have too much to contribute to You Don't Know Jack, but in that same thing about where your means of income, if you're a veteran or using any sort of government loan to buy a house, and your means of income is that you work in cannabis, they will not give you a loan.
Yeah, they kill it.
Some it doesn't even have to be like a VA loan or an FHA loan. Some of it is if the bank also doesn't fuck with it and the bank finds out, then they could drop you too. But definitely if it's government involved, a mortgage, you can't get one. It's crazy.
Definitely in my first couple of years of cannabis, I got lucky. The bank account that I had, they just never cared. But a couple of my colleagues definitely had weeks where they went to cash their check. It was like, oh, we can't cash the check no more.
Okay.
Like, imagine being like in your 30s, got a good job, making 6 figures, working a legit legal job, you flying all around the country working, and you got to go cash your paycheck at the check cashing spot. And not because you planned that shit. It's Friday, you went to cash your check, or the direct deposit bounced back and you got a hard check. That's the fucked up one when that happens. Yeah. When you have direct deposit and all of a sudden you come into work Friday and they hand you an envelope and your check's in it, you're like, yo, why am I getting a hard? I didn't subscribe to get hard checks. You open it looking for like, this is the copy thing on it. It's like, no, this is a live fucking check. Why do I have a live check now? And it's like, oh yeah, your bank rejected the direct deposit. You got to go to the check cashing spot now, and like that's wild shit.
That is wild.
Yeah, but that happens. That definitely happened a lot in early cannabis.
That's crazy.
Well, listen, Coss, I'm so proud of you and your story and your journey. It's incredible, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wish you much success. Can you talk to us real quick about the opening? When's that happening?
So I'm pushing for Labor Day opening.
Oh, that's close.
I got like 10 weeks,
okay.
so it's a lot of work.
Yep.
I'm sprinting on construction. I'm trying to make it.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
Now we're gonna be there. Just let us know the date.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. We put it up.
This is gonna be crazy.
Yeah. All right.
Give them your social so they can follow the different brands, the many brands.
Yeah.
No, ConBud, EDY, ConBudny on the gram
and ConBody.
Yeah,
right?
ConBody.
ConBody on the gram. Yeah.
Right here.
All right, that was dope. All right, well, we appreciate you, my dude.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Until next time, Coffee and Cannabis. We'll see you.
We still ain't got no fucking outro.